listen.
White people did not exist before 1681. Again, white people did not exist on planet Earth until 1681. Number two, any claim that this group called white people, any claim that that group is rooted in biology or derived from genes or biology or is innate or is from nature is a lie. Third and final point, as a matter of foundational law, actually, let me say it this way. White supremacy has been embedded in the United States of America from its founding as a matter of law. Now, I don't expect you to buy all that, to get all that, to believe all that, at least not now. But my job is to share with you the legal history that proves each of those three claims that I begin with. So let's go. Let's get started.
Welcome to the No Filter Podcast. What's up, Luke? Hi, Ari. No comment.
I fucking hate you with I fucking hate you with every fiber of my being. Right? I fucking hate.
Why?
First off, you should have first and foremost warned me that you were gonna do that. That's first and foremost, okay? Because I was not prepared for none of that shit. You.
That's the topic.
I don't. This is. Wait. I don't care what the topic is. You gotta let somebody know before you start playing some shit like that. I was woefully unprepared for what I heard. Like, go ahead, continue. I'm done. I'm out.
Wait, no. Let's talk about it. What do you mean you were woefully unprepared? This is a statement of fact. You've heard it before.
I get that. And yes, I have heard it before. I was not aware you were going to play it. That's where the shock comes in at. It's not that I haven't heard it. It's that you played it and I wasn't ready for it, like at all. Like not even a little bit.
Well, with that being said, I mean that is the topic of discussion here today. The whole premise of having a honest conversation and understanding that if someone purposefully identifies as white, they are simply speaking from a position of white supremacy because whiteness did not exist prior to the United States of America. It is the building blocks. It is the foundation of the country. Because you're talking about an amalgamation of different ethnicities that chose to identify by their skin color for their similarities, thereby subjugating and marginalizing and enslaving darker people for profit. That's just a statement of fact. That's not someone's opinion. And the people who disagree, they simply, they're lying to themselves or they don't fucking know.
It's true. I can never argue. I can never argue facts. And that is a factual statement. But I digress. I digress.
Why are we digressing? This is the topic. We said this was the topic. We were identifying what white is. We're going to identify what black is. And we're going to talk about those things in respect to one another. And then we're going to get into basically two particular topics regarding that thing, those two things. Really that one thing, because without white, there is never a black to be created in the first place, because you're once again talking about multiple different ethnicities, multiple different cultures, being bred ultimately to create a super worker. And now that super worker can be seen as human and has been granted freedoms. Now it's like, okay, what the fuck do we need to do with them? Because now we have to call them human, and we have to give them rights, and we have to acknowledge their existence, when that wasn't the intention of the founding fathers to begin with. All right, you're decidingly quiet too. What's up?
I enjoyed that intro. It was very interesting. I-
My bad. I'm gonna be laughing a lot throughout this thing. I'm just throwing it out there. So y'all just gotta excuse me. I'm gonna be laughing a lot.
yeah.
My bad, Ari. Continue. I apologize.
That threw me off.
My bad. I'm sorry.
So
I'm probably really
wait,
gonna miss this podcast.
The clip of the educated professor speaking to the point that we are discussing was put offish to y'all.
Okay, wait. No, wait. Okay, let me try to explain this as best I can. Whereas I understand that it is factual information. I get it. And that's the point of the podcast, is to discuss factual information. Got it. Yet and still hearing it, knowing that we are going to post this podcast later, it's fucking hilarious to me, because we're going to get into this. And I don't know, I feel like this was like a season finale type podcast episode. Like this should have been the last podcast that we did, just in case it literally was the last podcast we ever got to do. Like, that's where I feel we should be at. So I want to have the discussion, but I'm just, it's funny to me that we're having the discussion at the same time. So excuse me, I will probably laugh a lot through this. And
well, I guess that highlights the whole my 2 is everybody else's 10, because you're saying you thought this was the season finale, and I'm thinking this is light work.
No, see, wait, see, because it was like it's crazy, because everybody knows that at the end of the day, race is one of the biggest things to people, especially when you start talking about it and you get real about it. I've been black my whole life. I ain't never been nothing else but black.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. But some people don't believe it. It's wild. It's like, so it's when you talk about race, when you talk about white people, you talk about black people, and the first thing people say is that, well, I don't see color. That is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard anybody ever say about anything. It's like, I don't see color. Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm.
You're clearly white, and I'm clearly black. You're clearly Hispanic, or whatever ethnicity you choose to be. But people get skittish around it. And as we can see, D is not skittish of this topic at all. He is very well versed in it, and he knows a lot more. I'm just here to this podcast is when I'm going to provide comic relief while he actually educates you. So I'm gonna shut up now.
Negative, sir. That is not what we're doing.
That's what this is. I'm here, and I will add my 2 cents, but this right here is going to be probably one of the best podcasts that we're going to do to date.
Well, I mean, I guess now that we got that out the way, no, it's just a statement of fact. So let's break it down, right? So we understand white is an amalgamation of multiple different ethnicities that prior to the existence of America did nothing but brutalize and fight one another. And the only reason they decided to identify as one large group is because there was another entire large group that they subjugated for for the purposes of work and profit. Like that's facts. That's not, no one gets to debate that. Like someone could argue with it because they're like, well, no, that's not what I am. Like I'm white because of this. Well, whatever, motherfucker. That's a statement of fact. Like when they wrote the Constitution, they specifically said, no, you can't be a citizen if you're not white. And those motherfuckers over there are 3/5 of a human being. They wrote that shit. They wrote that shit down. They created and founded a country by writing that down. Period. No debate.
And you can't debate it because it's actually written somewhere in actual documentation. So now the question is this. So what do we do? So where do you go from here? Like now that you know, like now that you have divulged this information, like you have given this information out, this is factual information. Like, so what do you do with the information now that you know it? What do you
just
do?
Disseminate. And look, information is meant to be spread and disseminated. Really simple, right? I'm not the person that's trying to sit here and say that we need to fix nothing. That's not where I'm at with it. That is not the premise at all. That is not why the conversation is the conversation. The conversation is informative. It is not to change anything. It is to provide understanding of topics and terms and concepts that obviously exist. It's not a matter of perspective by no stretch of the imagination. These are all statements of fact. Not debatable. This is what it is. Like that, you be like, okay, I'm not racist. Cool, bet. You don't have to be racist. The system that granted you the term whiteness is decidedly race-based. That is the reason you are white. End statement. Prior to that, you would be identified as your nationality or ethnicity. Period. These people were slaves. These people were slaves. No, those people were not codified as less than human, so it is different. Not trying to get into that part of it, just the clear identification of what whiteness is. That's whiteness. Now we talk blackness, right? Black is an interesting one too. Besides the whole the mixture of multiple cultures, ethnicities, and nationalities forced to breed to create a super worker to make the most profits for white folks. You get certain darker complexion people who they'll refer to themselves as their nationality because they have that benefit, because they have a nation to go back to. But for those of us who identify as citizens of this fair country here, well, we don't come with that benefit. And that's how Black ended up being an ethnicity, which is why it's capitalized in proper speech and documentation. That is the reason there's a capital B in front of Black and not a capital W in front of white. So it's not the simplistic argument of race. You're talking about ethnicity. Black people in America have a shared experience of blackness. The whole Jim Crow South, the Jim Crow South, the sharecropping times, slavery, the Middle Passage, all of those things. We have that shared thing in common that culturally unifies us, which is what gives us our Black quote unquote ethnicity, not skin color. That's the experience of Black Americans. West, South, East, whatever, and most folks are from the South to begin with, because even when motherfuckers were sneaking up north, white people was like, no, you're not allowed to work here. Take your ass back down there, boy.
Wait, why did you add the boy to it? Like we could have.
Well, you know what? Okay, look, right. So, side note, everybody, like, okay, what's a cowboy, Moot?
What is a cowboy?
Yeah,
I feel like this is a trick
Cowboy.
question. Like,
it's not a trick question. This is how far common lexicon has come. What is a cowboy?
it's a damn one of them Texas people that farm lands and steer cattle and all that other happy shit that they used to do back in the day.
Wrong.
Oh,
Let me educate you. This is why they make the statement now that 1 in every 4 cowboys was black, because a cow hand had respect, like a farm hand, like a ranch hand. But that respect was not afforded to the black people who had been recently freed after the Civil War. And what were they called at that point? Boys. That is why the term cowboy exists. So never mind what you've turned it into. In 1860 something, you were a cow hand, you were a ranch hand. That's what you were. But you couldn't be that because you were seen as less than a human being. So they referred to them as boys.
so again, there's been a miscommunication along the lines of
No, I wasn't. Listen, that's not miscommunication. That's fucking absolute deception. Never mind that part. Like, not getting on that. The terminology has shifted because, some folks are ashamed of what their grandparents, great grandparents, and great great grandparents did. Okay, cool. You're ashamed. It still happened. Don't fucking change nothing.
I mean, it's true. You can't.
Right.
So they try to take a bad thing and make it a good thing, even though it's rooted in negativity. So they try to spin it and make it into something positive. Therefore,
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So therefore, changing the meaning and making the history of it lost to time.
But the meaning never really changes. Now we grew up during the time when you're watching all of these cowboy movies and they're being referred to as cowboys and you're seeing it, but there ain't no black folks in none of those movies. So what happened? Like, the genre itself exists after the Civil War. You have Union soldiers, Confederate soldiers, and motherfuckers running around, riding horses and shit, establishing the Wild West, right? So this is what we watched. This is what we refer to as the Wild West. Where's all black people at in this conversation?
Nowhere.
But clearly they're everywhere because they had been freed from tilling lands and shit for a great amount of time. That's just another purposeful deception.
Well, okay. So now the question I pose is why? What do they gain from that?
Despite the fact that I identify myself as transracial, I cannot answer that question because I have.
I hate you so much. I hate this podcast and I want to be done with it right now.
Yeah, I can't speak to that because I don't know. They haven't let me in on that.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so let's. I'm sorry. Let me shut up. Go ahead.
I would assume something like that would be them trying to control their narrative because of the guilt of all the bullshit that they did. So to cover all that up, they're controlling how they're perceived.
Okay, I can see that. I can see how that would make sense, but I guess it don't make sense for them to try to control that one aspect and still pull the same bullshit that they have been pulling. If that makes sense of what I'm saying, is because you're trying to change the narrative on that one thing. Like, okay, like that is something that I never knew. I never knew about the cowhand and the cowboy part. I actually thought it was the reverse. I thought the cowhand was lower than the cowboy. So I learned something. So why would they take that and try to put to control the narrative on that one thing and not try to control the narrative on every other thing?
They do control the
But
narrative
they,
on every other thing.
mhm.
Like every other. Remember, okay, we are having a conversation amongst ourselves. Ultimately, we are the first generation born with civil rights. Now you have to put what you're saying into that perspective. Chronologically speaking, prior to that, they had no vested interest in properly identifying what anything was. They're telling their story to their children the way they want to. They want their children to be proud of them.
Mhm.
Heritage, not hate.
So again, so like you said, they wanted their children to be proud of them. So why pass on the still negative shit that we see today?
Well, they're
I'm
trying
not
not
gonna
to
get.
pass it along.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna try to guess to someone's motivations to their decision making process. Like that's not. I'm not going that far. I'm gonna say historically speaking, when you look at every ancient civilization and past civilizations, there was a level of depravity for those at the top. Rome was Rome. Caligula, Caesar, yeah, they were what they were. Great Britain, the monarchy, they were what they were. They was fucking brothers and sisters to keep the lines pure.
That was
Like,
weird. That was very
right,
weird.
but so I'm not going to speak to anyone's motivations in this in the decision making process and why they chose to do the things they chose. I don't know that part. I'm just talking about the factual information of it.
You can only speak to
Well,
what you know factually.
only reason I say that they are still trying to control the narrative is because critical race theory is a huge issue in
Why did you sound so?
Because I was really trying to have this entire conversation without uttering that word.
Oh, that happened.
You didn't
That
tell
was
me that before.
that was gonna come out. That was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Somebody was gonna bring it up.
Okay,
Oops.
right. So we no, it's not really an oops, right? We have a personal a more personalized approach at topics between us. So we're allowing people to have this, okay, to steal something from my baby, right? Or from my baby's homegirl, because her own podcast. This is a window, not a door into the conversation, right? That is what was absolutely said on my baby's podcast, right? Dope, shouting out, yeah, Diary of a Mad Black Scholar, check it out. Shameless plug. Anyway, that's what was said, right? This is a window, not a door. You cannot come into this conversation. You are simply being allowed a glimpse into the conversation. With that being said, a topic like a term like critical race theory is polarizing, mainly because most folks don't know what the fuck it is and have no idea what the fuck it actually is. So avoid using that. While the whole entire conversation of what we're talking about definitely applies, because that's graduate level shit. Just in general conversation, this is not a term that someone will use. Like, no one was going to talk about critical race theory. Like, no, nobody's children is learning critical race theory. Black kids know it because we're taught that. Like, okay, look, Johnny and Sarah can do whatever the fuck they want to do in class. You take your ass to class and you do what Johnny and Sarah do, your ass is getting suspended. End statement. Your blackness will play a part in how you are perceived and the punishment that follows whatever you do. So it needs to be considered when you make moves. But we were taught that as children. There was no name like critical race theory. Okay, critical race theory is some graduate level shit. That's some academic shit. That's some scholarly shit that, when you start looking at things and statistics and empirical data and case study, look at it through the lens of understanding how race plays a factor. That's not what kids are learning, though. These motherfuckers is literally whitewashing history.
Mhm.
That's what they're doing. They're whitewashing it. Like, okay, now we don't want to talk about the Trail of Tears. Mucho no bueno. No, the settlers peacefully moved out west and did land purchases. That's not what the fuck happened. We grew up watching movies where it was the shit to scalp an Indian. So, well, but go ahead, make your point. You've already said it. You've already unasked the critical race theory thing. So now folks is going to be listening to all them is them. That's them people. Hashtag with the ER talking all that fucking racial shit and critical race theory. Whatever. Nobody gives a fuck about your opinion anyway. So say what you need to say.
Right. It's just what you're saying. So they want to not tell the fucking truth as always, and want them to remain the good guys. It's bullshit. Like down here in certain areas, you said the Trail of Tears, you can still see that shit. So it's kind of hypocritical to me because down here they preserve shit as far as like slavery, old slave houses, the slave market, mark the Trail of
Oh, you
Tears.
mean like the
But
like the cotton fields I ride past with the old rundown shacks? You mean slaves were actually in them things? Them is the same
yeah,
fields that niggas was dying in? I'm sorry. Let me stop being facetious.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with you. So to not want to discuss that is still trying to control the narrative of who they are.
I'm with you. Like, okay. So the larger part of like the defining of the terms was really what the whole white defining what white is, defining what black is, was more just definitions. Like, you know, the real conversation here is, you know, what is the responsibility of both groups to one another? Like, I'm no longer in a position where I care to hold the conversation in general. I'm at the point in my life where I don't give a fuck what you think. I know the truth, and we work together. We'd be cool, whatever. But when you say some shit, I'm looking at you, and I already know you the enemy, and I'm cool with that. I personally don't have no problem with it. Everybody is not at that point. I'm aware of that. Depends upon what you say. Like, you might say some shit. You post some shit on Facebook. You think everything's all sweet. It's not. I don't give a fuck. I'm cool. I'm still gonna be cordial, like, because we're not at war, so it's all good. But if the shit pops off, I know you're not an ally at all. I know where you stand. That's where I exist in the conversation about that. So what is the responsibility of each group? You know, and I say that because, you know, okay, so clearly documentation, ancestry, DNA, blah 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 blah. Black folks learning where they come from, right? So my personal experience and some shit that I just recently seen on TikTok. Like, somebody actually referenced the shit on TikTok after I talked to both y'all about what transpired. White folks with grandma and grandpa's personal belongings sitting in the attic for the last 50 something years, holding documentation of where we come from. So when we doing DNA tests and ancestry and shit like that, and we hit a dead end, we are purposefully being held from knowing where we come from, who we are, who we've been interbred or crossbred with, because someone is ashamed, or just, hey, shit, they don't even have to be ashamed. They just may not know. Because I've thought about that too since the conversation we had. Like, you know, they may not know, they may be ashamed, or they just may be holding on to it out of sheer spite. Who the fuck knows and who the fuck cares? But there's literal documentation about folks dying and where their property, slaves, people, were being shipped to. So when you start tracing it backwards and you get to a certain plantation, and that plantation has a record of your existence, but no record of your birth and no record of who your parents were, could it be somebody, just got a folded up piece of paper in a family album saying where your great great grandmother and great great grandfather met? And then, you may be able to trace that shit back to what ships they came off of as livestock. It is, how does that work? Or, are white folks responsible for actively standing in the way of progress and us understanding who we actually are? Or technical funny difficulties.
It was my bad. I saw a countdown and I immediately paused the podcast. That was my bad. Sorry, guys.
So enough of the soapbox. What are y'all's takes on said information already? I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna finish dog walking somebody in Madden. No notes have been looked at in the taping of this episode.
This is all free range knowledge. This is just what he knows. This is what rattles around in D's head. Just random. I ain't even gonna say random. Just a wealth of knowledge and being well versed in many topics. That is D. So, what was the question before we had the difficulty?
What is the responsibility? What is the responsibility of us to one another and to the larger white community? Like, should we be telling them these things? And what is the responsibility of the larger white community to us? Like, should they be forcibly made? Not necessarily to own what has transpired, because that's one of their talking points always. Like, no one alive personally owned slaves. Yeah, bitch, but my mother was born prior to having civil rights, so I know goddamn well your grandparents and your mother was calling my mom a nigger. Fuck you. What are you talking about? Like, I don't even want to hear that bullshit.
Like, that's real too. Like, people try to act like that shit happened so long ago. Like,
right. It ain't that long ago. Look, it ain't that long ago when you got a piece of paper in your fucking photo album that got somebody's name on it that was owned. That's still legible.
And showed it so nonchalantly. Like, here you
I'm
go.
not even going down that road. Look,
I know
I'm
you're
not
not
even going down that road.
Look,
right?
I knew
I'm
you
just
wasn't gonna do it.
It's an interesting thing that folks, like, one of the primary arguments you hear when you talking to your peers who happen to be white. I've never owned slaves, and no one that was alive today owns slaves. Yeah, bitch, but you have the slave documents in your family photo album. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what the fuck are you actually talking about? What are you saying? Like, are you purposely dismissing the reality of the situation at hand? And are you going to sit here and pretend that because slavery ended in the 1860s, Jim Crow never fucking happened?
Segregation never happened.
Right. Like, are you fucking for real right now? We've never owned slaves. Yeah, motherfucker, but you clearly benefited from everything prior to your existence.
Right.
Generationally speaking, I don't be wanting to hear that shit. Like you opened up, said people say, I don't see color. Okay. So what you're saying is you don't see me, whatever.
And that's a
That's the same
problem
as
in
we
itself.
we never personally owned slaves. My family was poor. They were employed, and what they did for a job was to beat on niggas. The fuck are you talking about? Like,
And it's wild, man, because people like it's so off-putting when they try to downplay it, and like it didn't, and that just pisses me off even more. Like when you try to act like it's not a big deal when it is. And that's the difference between empathy and sympathy, because you can never understand it, and some people don't even fucking empathize with you. So it's like, even like in a situation where, like me, for instance, like I've been in situations to where I have literally had to check people about using the N-word around me. Now, I use it. I'm not gonna sit up here and pretend like I don't. It's so I don't want nobody. I don't want nobody later on talking about calling me a hypocrite and shit because I use it. Yes, I can. You can't in any given circumstances. Not because of your skin color. Primarily, that is the reason. However, I don't want you to go and think just because I let you get away with it that somebody else is gonna let you get away with it, because they will bust your ass. I will sit here and talk to you and tell you why you shouldn't. And I think that is that's the larger goal of all Black people, is that when you see it happening, you need to sit down. You stop giving people a free pass and saying, oh, well, they're cool. No. No. That's not it. No, that's not what we're talking about. They're not cool. They're cool with you. They're not cool with me. Because if I catch them saying it, I'm gonna rock their shit. And then they're gonna be looking surprised. Well, he said I could say it. Yeah, and he's wrong too. I need to whoop his ass too. Because at the end of the day, like that's not. It's so hard to try to explain it because people don't want to hear it, because people just say it's just a word. No, it's not just a word. It's not.
no,
It was a
I
word.
disagree. It is just a word.
It's
Just a word.
Technically, in fact,
It
it
depends.
is.
It depends on how I feel that day. If these is just these hands. Like,
Oh shit. And it's just off-putting. And like people, and then I hate the argument when they were like, oh well, you use it. They use it in songs. They use it. That ain't. What the fuck does that have to do with anything that we talking about? I don't give a fuck if it's in some. I don't give a fuck if it's in a movie. I don't give a fuck if it's in some lyrics. If you say it, I'm going to pop you. I'm like, real shit. That's just me. I will, depending on who you are, I may talk to you. I may tell you, hey, look, I wouldn't do that. Don't do it around me. Stop it. The next time you do it, I'm going to take this chair and I'm going to crack your damn skull. Shit like that. Depending on the situation. Because it happens mostly when I'm at work or when I'm out and about. Because especially mainly at work. And it's crazy because people feel like they can say it, and you can say it, but you have to be willing to deal with the consequences of you saying it, whatever they may be. You may get away with it. You may have somebody be like, he said it. And you might get somebody that you end up in a body bag. It just, you roll the dice every time you use it. You roll it. Now, to my Caucasian brethren, do better. I don't really have. I can't really speak to you. Just do better. Do better. That's it. Do better.
all right. you're surprisingly quiet on this topic.
I didn't want to interrupt.
Feel free, shut me up. I don't care.
I don't understand, out of all the things to say, why that word is so argued about. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. It's like the more you say don't use it, the more they want to fucking use it. And then want to defend using it. I agree with Mookie. It makes no fucking sense. As far as the responsibility, everybody doesn't want to hear the truth. You know what I'm saying? So how do you get them to want to fucking listen? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think it's a lost cause, honestly.
It's not a lost cause, because once you get the group, because there's a small margin of Black people that let them get away with it. Now there's a larger community that do not. Once that smaller community stops, because we all know that white person that always says, oh, well, I got that one Black friend. That one Black friend is the one that lets them get away with the shit. And so it perpetuates it. So that one white person goes to his white friends and be like, oh, you know what, blah, blah, blah. And then they get around this motherfucker and they're just saying the word and they're just like, oh, and he's not doing anything. So it perpetuates it. And just like you said, they want to, this, like, the more you tell them no, the more they want to do it. And that is the epitome of white privilege to me, is the more you say don't do this thing, they want to do it. Or even if you tell them they have to do something, they don't want to do it. So I think that would be the best way to do it, is to tell, if you tell every white person, hey man, you have to say this word or I'm gonna punch you in the face, they will stop saying it. Like the best way to get white people to stop doing shit is to make them do it. Like I've learned that throughout time. Make them have to do some shit. Like hey man, you gonna have to do this. No, you're infringing upon my rights. What, bitch? Get the fuck out of here. Fuck you. Fuck this. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It's hard to have this conversation without having the conversation, because there's always going to be a person there's always going to be a Black person that disagrees. There's always going to be a white person that agrees. And the job of anybody, Black or white, is to educate their counterparts on shit. And that's all you can do. You can't make a motherfucker do nothing. The only thing you can do is try to educate them, because everybody's going to have their own opinion. And that's just what it is. No matter what I tell you, we've all met Black people that they have dark skin, but they are not Black.
Them taters.
And Becky calls them potatoes. I fucking hate that, but it's true. It's just that's who they are. They're those people that just let them get away. They're not with us. It's just like Dee said. At the end of the day, it's not that I won't be cordial. It's not that I won't talk to you. But when the revolution is televised, I know that you're not with me, and that's fine. But we all know it's not a person on this podcast that cannot name somebody, and we're not gonna do it. We all got that one person that we can name, and it was just like, you know what? You may look like me, but you definitely not me. You not
Getting
me.
shot first.
Yeah, like the fence riders, the people who are always like trying to straddle the fence. always trying to be that person that was like, oh, maybe, no, pick a side. Because it's too late when you start hearing shots.
Oh, okay. Okie dokie.
Oh,
Ooh.
man. But it's real talk.
I'm done.
Oof,
My bad.
this
I'm
guy.
done. My bad. But for real though, like in all seriousness, is in order to fix it, you can't. I don't even know if you can fix it. I don't even like. We're supposed to be talking about the white people, but all I can do is speak on the Black experience because I don't know what it's like to be white. I don't identify as a white person. My bad. Everybody got quiet. My bad.
No, that's why I say it's a lost cause. It's too many of them who are against us, and then with the help of the people that's supposed to be us, not supporting us. That's why I say it's a lost cause. You might be able to affect or change the mind the immediate people around you, but on a wider scale, it's not going to happen because they have no sense of responsibility. They could see the police brutality every day. They're not going to say anything. It still happens. Even before the shit got caught on video, they don't speak up. That's the problem. They don't speak up. And they're not going to because they're too comfortable in what they're benefiting from.
I agree. You are so right. It is. And they're never going to.
I will say this, like since you brought that up, I will say, and this is just for anybody listening, if you see the cops whooping my ass, you better pray they kill me. Because if you videotaping it and I get up, I'm fucking you up. Like I'm throwing that out there. Like real shit. Like you better pray, like real shit. You better pray the fucking cops kill me that day. Cause like if you think you helping me by recording the cops whoop my ass, you are sadly fucking mistaken. That is not helpful. That is not helpful. Like you need to hit that motherfucker with a trash can or something. Like you need to distract him or something. Cause that motherfucker is actively choking the shit out of me and I'm finna die and you just recording it. I gotta hold you bet look. I'm gonna haunt you even if I do die. I'm gonna make sure I fucking haunt your ass. I'm just saying, like, look, stop recording shit, man. Fucking get active. Fucking look. I'd rather sit in jail with a live motherfucker than just stand by and watch a motherfucker die. Like, that's just my opinion on it. Cause that shit is wild.
And then you got the what's them two? What are them? What's those twins' name? I don't know if anybody know who they are, but I think they got a little. They be talking on stuff too.
Oh, you mean them coons?
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
them
no.
two.
Yeah.
Like they are the epitome. Like,
and everybody has their opinions. But your opinion needs to be based in fact, and none of their opinions are based in fact. To me, I feel like they race bait to me, and I wish I knew their names because I don't even know. But everybody knows what I'm talking about. They're the only twins that be out there talking about white power, and your skin is it ain't it's a little bit lighter than mine, but like you sitting up there just talking reckless about shit just because, and this is
I don't know who the twins are.
You look, just look up podcasting twins or whatever. I don't know. Google that. They'll come up because and that's what I say about people. The wrong people have a platform. Not everybody should have a platform, especially if you're Black. And that's just common common knowledge. And this goes for white people too. What's the chick name? God dang. Lauren is her name. Lauren?
Tommy. I knew you was talking about
You
Tommy.
knew who I was talking about. Like, that chick does not need a platform. She doesn't. She does not need a platform. Not everything you say is, you are out here to incite trouble, not to educate, not to teach, but to incite. And just like people, like even the people on TikTok, y'all don't, not just because you can go live don't mean you need to go live. And I know y'all motherfuckers probably like, oh, look at this hypocrite on a podcast talking about other shit. Hey, but I ain't never said nothing that wasn't that. You can fact check my shit. Well, actually, you can't because it's me, so you don't ever know what it is. But I digress. If you're gonna be on a stage, if you're gonna be on a platform, if you're gonna have your voice heard, say something worth being heard. Black and white. That's what you owe to yourselves and to everybody else. Is that if you want to make change, you have to be the change. Like, get on your platform and actually talk about something worthwhile instead of just spreading negativity. Because I'm gonna tell you something. I'm ready for war. I know what side I'm on. I know at the end of the day, me and D talked about it. Like, a lot of people think that at the end of the day, like, I laugh and I joke and I do some silly ass shit sometimes. I be on TikTok doing dumb shit. But don't think for 1 second that I don't forgot how to be violent. Don't think for 1 second that I won't burn your fucking world down. I will. I ain't no gangster, but don't you fucking push me. All right, I'm done talking. My bad.
I got dark.
Look, I feel like real shit. Every time I post our podcast, I just be waiting for like somebody to call me and be like, "You're fired." I'm like, "Whoops." Well, like I should be like y'all two would just turn my damn camera off so nobody, because like really nobody would know it was me if I didn't have my camera off. When I'm the only asshole that turns his camera off because I'm narcissistic as fuck. Like, I want to be seen. Like, I want to be seen. But look, I don't want to deal with the consequences of the shit. Is wild.
Well, there is no consequences to be had. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. Like, this is just where it's at. Everybody who knows me knows this is how I feel. Like, for strangers out in the world, yeah, I understand my appearance does not go with the conversation, and if I'm seen, there would be a fear factor. I get that part. Like, yeah, we're not gonna fucking play ignorance to that part. But at the same time, like, no, I'm good. I'm sure, the facts are the facts. I'm here to. We don't ever have to go to war. I have learned to navigate the system as it presently stands, and I am actually okay with it. In every sense of the word, I'm fine because I have navigated this long. I'm straight. So that's not where I'm at with it. And now if the shit need to go left, I'm prepared to meet you there. Make no mistake. The United States paid a lot of money to make me proficient at what I do.
Yo, that sounded like some real like Wolverine shit. I ain't the best at what I
I
do.
mean,
What do you say? Well, I'm
hey, look, put it into perspective. I may not have a lot of money, but what I do have is a particular set of skills
like real talk.
that makes me a nightmare for people like you.
Like real talk. And it's just like D said, like when but none of y'all will ever see him. But when you look at D, like D is how can I put fuck it. He's menacing. Like real shit. He's menacing. He's scary. Like
Oh, that's so hurtful.
I know I didn't know a nicer way to say it, so I just went with my heart. So you like you look at him and it's just like, oh shit. Like you actively avoid the conversation. When in actuality, you know, he is very well versed, he's very educated, and his appearance, like, and we said this in the podcast before, like looking at him, you would not know the shit about him. Now, me, on the other hand, like people look at me and they were like, oh, this is a nice, clean cut young gentleman. Let me go engage with him.
You're one of the good ones.
Yeah, like real shit. And me and D talked about it, and that shit irks me so bad. And then I act this, so now I have to show a motherfucker that I'm not the one to be trifled with. And then but then I go too far, and then I can't go back, which is cool. It doesn't bother me, but now it's like you make me have to show my ass instead of just leaving me the fuck alone. Like that is the prime example. Is like, he's one of the good ones. What the fuck does that mean? One of the good ones. What does that mean?
That you ain't gonna fight back.
And then they found out the hard way when I started fucking cussing people out there. But like, oh my God, why are you like this? Cause you made me this way. I was fine. I was good. You wanted a nigga, now nigga here. That's what you looking for. Now this is what you got. And then when you act out of character, then you get, it's like I can't win. I tried not to be what they think I am. So they poke me and they poke me until I react how they want me to react. And then I'm still the bad guy. Like, what the fuck? Like, explain that shit to me. Like, D don't have these problems. Like, D is just like they don't even approach D. They be like, yep, he is. We don't need any confirmation on that. But he's the exact opposite of what they think. Me is like, I am what they think, but they still want to see me act out of character. Like, why? For what purpose? I'm at
You
work.
gonna have a nigga like me doing life.
I'm like, I'm just like, I'm at work. Like, let me be. Like, I already, like, it's work. Okay, that's first and foremost. It's work. Like, let me do work. Let me be at work in peace, at least. Why would you think that you could just provoke me into being who I'm not at work? Like when I'm at home, yeah, I'm that motherfucker. When I'm at work, I'm at work. This is business. Let me be business. Don't make me show out. Come on now.
Where your grandma stay? Right over there on Greenleaf. Don't make me show up and show out.
Okay, Eric, calm down. We from Bompton.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm gonna get jumped one day. I
hope though nobody really think that that's acceptable. we not. That's not happening.
Oh man!
Run up on Mookie's ass if you want to.
Look, it ain't gonna be pretty for nobody.
Nobody.
Because if you think I'm a pushover, don't let the smooth taste fool you. Don't let it fool you. Don't let it fool you. But anyway, I digress. Yes. Yeah. So
be out this motherfucker waiting for a motherfucker to run up. One bullet in the abdomen. Two bullets in the abdomen.
Oh my God. It's crazy, man. This is wild. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, don't get it twisted though. Don't get it twisted. Don't do it. Don't do it. It was a don't do it. Just don't.
Right? Like I tell motherfuckers, I'm not gonna make a good video. Like I be seeing motherfuckers on video, like that video I posted where dudes in they in Food Line. Little dudes in cousin's face, calling him all kind of niggas.
It ain't.
You're not gonna get your look. You're not gonna get your camera out fast enough because I'm
right. You not getting that shit off.
Like you finna go, like you going down, like real talk. And
like you want to get your nigger off, but when you say
look, you could have been saying nice. I do.
Right.
I didn't like how that it looked like you're lucky you was gonna say and I just hauled off and hit you. I don't want there to be no misunderstanding. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. Like it's like me and D was having a conversation was it today? And I really be thinking sometimes like that the world itself has gone crazy. Because common sense is no longer just a common virtue. It's like you have to now explain yourself to people. You have to explain shit that shouldn't need to be explained. Like I say, hey, I hate Christmas. That should be the end of the fucking conversation. There should be no, well, why do you hate Christmas? Because I fucking hate it. I hate all major holidays, actually. And this has nothing to do with being white or black. This is just some shit that's on my heart. Because I just need to get it off. I'm about to have a testimony.
Get off of his soapbox.
Look, y'all gonna have to knock me out. Because once I start talking, it's a wrap. Because then I start thinking about all the shit that people done did that done pissed me off over the time. That's why I don't need a podcast. Because there's no there would never be any structure with me. It would just be me randomly ranting about. I'm like that crazy dude that's in this trailer talking about conspiracies and shit. Like that's why one of y'all should stop me. But see, none of y'all will stop me. Y'all both just listening to me rant and rave about it. Y'all just let me go. Y'all, and neither one of y'all still not stopping me. Why are
I'm not gonna listen. I'm not gonna stop you. The agents listening. They either gonna cut it off or whatever they gonna do what they gonna do.
It's crazy though, man. I don't get it. Like people, first off, people need to stop being. I just need to stop existing. I don't know, man. I just want a meteor to come and just. We need a do-over. Like we've had our shot. We just need to go. I'm done. I'm out. I'm not gonna say nothing else.
Go ahead. Let the animals take over.
Yeah, like real talk. Like we have run our course. We have failed. Like, I'm just throwing it out there. Black, white, Hispanic, all of us. We've all failed. We failed. We have failed everything. We've lost. Game over.
And my cliche moment of the day: you only fail if you don't try.
Well, they tried and they failed. They tried and failed because we are. Well, I'm telling you what, man. We are in the end of days. I don't know where this is, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere because this shit's bad.
But is it really?
You don't think so? You don't think that we are in
I didn't say I didn't think so. I just asked, is it really?
I don't know. I feel like I've monopolized this whole podcast. Well, this half of it. Because the first half.
I feel like you have too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ari,
Huh?
take us out of here, Ari. You know what? And because you were not on the last iteration of Congratulations, Killer Cow, uh, what are your what is your stance? Let the listeners know what your stance is on Killer Cow, the homie.
Um, fuck Cal. And whenever they do that riot shit that happened in January, all them gonna get off too.
Oh, you mean the insurrection?
Yep.
No, actually, some of them have. So they have been getting like community service and shit like that.
So they got off already. Community service ain't no.
Well, I'm not saying that. I feel like community service is infinitely more more punishment than actual incarceration. Like, oh my goodness, if I ever did a crime and I was caught and had to be sentenced and they sentenced me to community service, I feel like the sheer level and the magnitude of the punishment would be so just heart wrenching. Use that, motherfuckers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where that's how I feel. Now I don't fuck about community service, none of that shit. It is what it is. You knew they was gonna get off. They was considered heroes. Everybody rooting for them. Like, oh no, yeah, that's what they need to do. Yeah, they had nooses on the lawn. I mean, in every war we've ever fought, no one has ever taken the White House yet. You know, these folks felt like this was a necessity. That's what's up. I ain't mad. Wasn't me. Wasn't me out there with them motherfuckers.
Couldn't have been me though.
Oh man. So
Again,
this was a very interesting podcast. Kind of derailed after the first one abruptly ended. Not so much derailed as kind of derailed. Fuck it, I'm gonna stick with that word. But here we are again. We got the Ari back. She's back for this podcast. She wasn't with us with the last one, but she still made her thoughts known. We had the D dropping knowledge as always, educating and being fun at the same time. Gotta love it. So this has been the No Filter Podcast. All right, make sure
There's
you
a snake
follow
in my
us.
boot.
Why you just can't never let me get through my outro? Like, why do you always every time I go into this outro, you got one random thing to say after another?
To infinity and beyond.
Like literally, go back to all the other podcasts. Like every time I'm doing this outro, he just says the most random shit. Like, what does a snake in your boot have to do with anything?
I was being Woody.
Okay.
I guess.
Oh my god. Just fucked up the whole momentum of the outro. All right, so again, this has been the God damn it! Now you done fucked me. I can't even get through the outro now. All right. All right. This has been the No Filter Podcast. All right. Make sure you follow us on all social media. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're even on TikTok. We're everywhere. We out here. Ms. R, you got anything you want to add before I end it?
Nope.
All right. D, you got anything you want to say?
If you want to live, come with me.
Lord. All right. And we out here. If you have any questions, if you got any topics, any relevant questions, excuse me, make sure you hit us up on the No Filter Podcast 2022-21. 22, 21 at gmail.com. And we out.